Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my weekly podcast. Today we have somebody from Poland, as we had the presidential elections last week, Mrs. Gosia Zuk. Hello, Mrs. Zuk.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good and you. Mrs. Gosia is part of the PIS party, Law and Justice, and Mrs. Gosia, you are now a podcastist. Could you tell us a little bit how the elections went in Poland?
Uh, it was a difficult time because Poland is very divided between the liberal left and the conservatives. But at the end of the day, the candidate supported by my party because he was never the member of any political party. He won the election. It was very close. The exit polls showed that the one who won was the candidate supported by Civic Platform, the Donald Tusk party. But then during the late poll, it was clear that Karol Nawrocki won the election and will be the next Polish president.
Okay. And why do you think people voted for him?
First of all, he was a very good candidate, and Poland tends to be quite conservative country, especially to compare with other countries, even in the region. And second, it's almost 2 years since the government of Donald Tusk was formed and since the last parliamentary election. And I think that there's a lot of people who are very, very disappointed because first, for more conservative people, for more conservative voters, this is clear that this is a bad government, that they are not delivering anything, they are not thinking about development of our country. And second, the voters of the liberal left, they are very, very disappointed because Tusk promised during the parliamentary campaign a lot of things, especially about the abortion or the same-sex marriage, and he never delivered them. Even if he, as he said, the president would have voted this, would have rejected those laws. They never even tried to present them to the actual president of Poland, so their voters weren't so motivated.
Okay. And do you think so? So it is like what we saw in the European level, the elections,
Yeah.
that people got very sad with left-wing policies, and now they are turning to the right wing, right? Do you think something same?
Uh, Somehow, yeah, but in Poland was different because my party, Law and Justice, was in the government for last 8 years, from 2015 to 2023. So I think that people vote for change somehow, but in Poland they did that change to liberal left. They changed the government, they changed the main political party for another one, and the result was like we see the current coalition. They doesn't have the majority.
Okay. And as we all know, Poland is a very important country into the European Union from its position, from its population, from its culture. And do you think that people in Poland vote also because the European Union is not working very well, even in their country, but even in the continent?
Yes, yes, of course. First, we are so tired of the European bureaucracy about things like Mercosur, Green Deal, and Migration Pact, especially those three, I think, are the most important ones for us. And I think that we never wanted to give all our sovereignty to European Union. We just wanted to be the part of the community, especially after the communist times when we always thought that we are the part of the Western culture, not the Eastern part. And for many years we are part of Soviet bloc. So once we regained our full independence in 1989, people wanted to join this community just to be sure that we are not that we are the part of the West once again. But
Okay.
now we are tired of all this bureaucracy of European politicians being so involved in our politics. So yeah, I think that the problem with the European Union also was an important factor.
What does PIS suggest as a change?
Uh, we want the Europe of sovereign states. There are a lot of things we can cooperate, but at the end of the day, we want Europe to be outside of our internal policy. We are a sovereign country. We have our government. We don't want the European politicians to be very involved in our politics and our government.
Okay. And seeing the enlargement of the European Union is trying to do now, are you in favor of it, or do you have
We
your
were
thoughts?
always, as a party, and I personally, I always was in favor. Of course, if the country has done all the requirements, especially the basic ones. But as for us, it was very difficult to join the EU, and was at the same time it was very important for our society. I think that there is a lot of people who think that if we had this chance 21 years ago, it is important to give this opportunity to all countries which want to join the EU. And uh, we don't see EU as a club for. We see the EU as a community of all European states who wants to be part of this community.
Okay. But how the EU is proceeding right now? So in the Western Balkans, it was always difficult for those countries to enter in the European Union, even to open the negotiations. And now, all of a sudden, after the war of Ukraine, they have speed up the process. Do you think it's a fair way to enlarge the union? And do you think it's these countries are going to be so ready into 3 years or 4 years of the European Union once I'm inside with doing the right moves, or do you think it's just a policy that Brussels is doing?
Uh, I think we don't have this debate in Poland, so I'm not sure how the negotiations are going on for now. Uh, as I said, there are always basic requirements. All the countries had to do something to join the EU, to be solid partner for the rest of the community. But for many years, from my point of view, it was like we don't want to do any kind of enlargement. The requirements were very high and very unfair. So the process should be fair from both sides, the country, the candidate, and the EU. We cannot change the requirements during the process. It should be clear from the start point what we expect and where the country, what the country have to do.
Okay. And coming back to your region a little bit, how do you think has influenced the war in Ukraine, the elections, and the policy in Poland?
I'm not sure if the war in Ukraine has changed a lot of our internal policies. Somehow, yes, but I would say that the policy of Volodymyr Zelensky has changed our position because probably, as you know, at the beginning we were very in favor, and our society was very in favor of Ukraine, and we helped a lot. People were taking the refugees to their homes, but after a few years, after all the policy made by Zelensky, after his speech in United Nations, it has changed a little bit, and we thought that we we will we never had a good relationship with the Ukraine, but we thought that if we will help those people as much as we can, mm, we will the Ukrainian position regarding our history will changed a little bit, and they have never considered to change their policy, their point of view, to help to develop our relations. So I think that most of the people have like, we helped a lot, we spent a lot of money to help Ukraine, when almost a lot of European countries, most of them were against to help. They thought that they wanted Putin to take the part of the Ukraine. We were against. Our politicians were going to very different capital cities in Europe to talk with a lot of prime ministers, presidents, to change their point of view, to change their mind, and to get a help for Ukraine in the time when the Ukrainian government wasn't able to do that because of the war. And at the end of the day, like did Zelensky, you hear that the Poland is acting like Russian friend, and it's clear that he's talking about Poland just because we are defending our position, and we are defending our country, our economy, and our history. So I think that the policy of President Zelensky has changed our internal policy and has changed the result of the election, because in the first round, Grzegorz Braun, who is highly anti-Ukrainian politician, he got more than 6% of votes, so it was very, very high.
Okay. And do you think in Poland, because I was watching now the Belgian news, some news about your country, do you think that Russia is going to invade Poland?
Uh, I'm not sure. They are still very, very attached in Ukraine, and even if they want, I would say that they will start with Lithuania, or it might be Polish-Lithuanian border, just to leave all Baltic states without the direct support from NATO. But I'm not sure when it will happen, when it will happen. But we need to we cannot forget that the Russia has a hybrid war in our border with Belarus since 2021, I think.
Yeah, things have changed. Huh?
It,
Today the war is not only battle, but
yeah,
is also drones that we throw, cyber attacks, economic war. So
yeah. Putin knows that Europe is very afraid of migration crisis, so using migrants to destabilize the internal situation, not even in Poland, which of course happened back then, but also in the EU, was important for him and was very, very useful.
yeah, I was having a conversation last week here in Brussels, and somebody was telling me that the next plan of Putin would have been not a direct war, but let's say he would put a massive wave of immigration to Poland, to the Baltic countries, so the European Union will start destabilizing
Uh,
on this front.
it was what he did in 2021. So, and he's still doing that, not in this, not in that size as he did at the beginning or just before the war in Ukraine, but he's doing it constantly.
Okay, yeah, exactly. And so if you would win the elections in 2027, I think that it will be the same policy from your side, like closing the borders.
Yeah, because we were back then in 2021, we were the ones who built the wall. Uh, it will never be perfect if you have only a few months, but we needed to do anything to protect the border, and it was very, very, very important for our border protect service and for our militaries who were serving on the border. So we will only develop the wall, and we need to build the next one with the Kaliningrad Oblast.
Okay. And how do you see the youth now in Poland? Because here we have seen a change in the youth mentality, and in the Balkans I see a different youth. In the Central Europe I see a different youth. How is the Polish youth being today? Like, are they still in this conservative way thinking, of they are trying to be a bit more liberal on some things and more conservative on others?
It's, I think it's still very difficult to say. We will see it during the next parliamentary election because during the first round, the most voted politicians were one of the far right and another one from the far left, but they never were in the government and their parties were never part of the government. They are quite new in political spectrum, so we'll see. It was only about being against the traditional parties. More of them voted for the Sławomir Mencen, who is from the far right party. But we'll see if they will still voting for his party, or it was only he who gained their support, or some of them were voting against the traditional politicians, and he was the most popular one. If they will switch to more leftist parties. So yeah, for now they voted for the new politicians who were never in the government. Most of them voted for conservative parties, but we will see.
Okay. Well, my message would have been indeed all around Europe to maybe create a new wave of politicians, but on the conservative side, like not again on the leftish liberal, because we saw what happens with the European Union. But having this age conversation, like saying new and old, seeing what happens in the United States with Trump trying to deport immigrants and the riots that are happening in Los Angeles, do you think that if something similar would happen in Europe, like let's say Brussels would come today and will say, all the illegal immigrants out of Europe, do you think that people would work with it or would be against it?
In Poland, we would be definitely in favor.
Okay.
I think that
I think in Hungary as well.
majority of Polish citizens would be in favor. There is probably the mainstream would be in favor. Even the current government, they know that Polish citizens are very against of massive migration. We see what happened in Western Europe. We see the difference between, for example, Paris and Warsaw, and it means a lot for us to hear that Warsaw is the probably one of the safest and cleanest capital cities in Europe. So we would be very in favor.
Okay. And my last questions. So, from what I hear from you and what I have seen from also other politicians of your party, I think that you are more connected and you are more promoting values. But I think the problem with the Western Europe politicians and political parties is that they promote mostly economy. So my question would have been, what do you think that the European Union should do? Come closer to values or continue the economic policy?
It's funny because we thought about that after the election, and probably most of our younger politicians, they say that of course the values and promoting values is important, but the youth in Poland, it's more interested in economy, in development, in investments. So for us, it would be better to go on these topics. I think that we should do both and try to promote values, try to promote our culture, our history, and don't forget about our heritage. But at the same time, we cannot forget that probably the youth wants to have better life conditions than our parents, than their parents, our parents. I want to have a better life than my parents had in my age. So we need to also do a lot in terms of economy, and don't forget that it's also important for those people. Even the housing crisis, which is probably one of the most important topic across the Europe for young people, it's more about economy than about the values.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, but what I meant by economy is mostly, in the European Union, we see a lot of mass immigration that is getting used from bigger industries, construction industries, to get paid less than what the local would get. And I think this is one of the things that in Europe has to change. That is not only money, it's not only profit of the moment, but is a longer profit is, and that's where I say it's more about values than economy, because of course we want to live, we want to have a good life, but if you only think only about profit, 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 we lose the value.
Yeah,
So
of course, I completely agree, but I think there is no values in the EU. Even the democracy, it's now not the value for EU. Just to see what happened in Romania.
yeah, well, let's see. I hope that things will get better in Poland and in the European Union.
I
Now
hope it's
right-wing
so.
parties are in power. I think they should work better together and create a more stable and more strong European Union.
I hope it, and I hope we will take the government after the next parliamentary election in coalition or not. It's important because even if Polish president have a lot of power to compare in other European states, it's still the government who is the most important. The prime minister is the one who is the most important in Poland, so it's crucial to win the parliamentary election.
Well, if you start the campaign today, I think it will really work. So I wish you a very good luck on it.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to my podcast. It was a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you, and I hope that we will have this opportunity to cooperate also between Belgium, Poland, Italy, Czech Republic. They have election in, I'm not sure, this year. I saw that they are during the parliamentary campaign. Still, even if the polls are against, I still hope that they will win and will build this huge coalition. It's important also for us, as we always were very, very attached to our European partners. So, finger crossed for all of us. And thank you very
Indeed.
much for
Indeed.
inviting me and wanted to talk about Poland and our parliamentary and our presidential elections.
You will be back for sure. I will invite you again in the near future. And thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for watching my podcast. Follow us on our social media and see you next week. Goodbye.